Welcome, Gamerinos and Gamerinas, to my first English fooling around. This is Rady, you're on UnicornStorm, and today I got Blue Fire for you. The game released on pretty much every system and could best be described as a Dark Souls platformer. Not because it is the Dark Souls of platformers, but more so because of the mechanics it borrows from Dark Souls. You'll find currency in form of ores, in containers in every nook and cranny, and every time you die, you'll lose everything. But if you get back to the point where you died, you can reclaim all your lost ores. And you need this currency to buy upgrades and activate save points. Enemy encounters are designed to be punishing and result in a quick death for careless players. And since this is a platforming game, there isn't a lot of emphasis on combat, but more so on movement. And this is where all my problems begin. And just so to get it out of my system, I instantly regretted my purchase. I bought the game, let it install overnight, so that I can play it the next morning on my way to work. That means I hadn't installed the day one patch. And so I got a completely different game. The version I started with made use of two attack buttons, one for vertical attacks and one for horizontal attacks. After the patch, the game only uses one button and you perform vertical attacks from the air and horizontal attacks from the ground. You also get a shield ability and the option to exchange enemy essence for a higher magic meter pretty early in the game. Something that wasn't in the pre-patched version, though maybe both these things would have happened later in the game. I don't know. From what I can tell, even enemy behavior has been drastically altered. Enemies were fast and relentless, ganged up on me. But after the patch, they seemed to wait longer before attacking, and had to charge up their attacks a bit longer. Their placement was also altered, so the encounters seem a little bit more balanced, at least in the beginning. This patch was really needed, because the game is a mess without it. And even though the patch improved a lot, the game still has a bunch of problems. It pretty much comes down to the punishing nature of this game and the way we traverse this world. Save points are few and far between, and to even activate one, we need an increasing amount of ores. Ores that we lose if we die on the way to a new save point. That's a bit harsh. Just imagine if you had to pay souls to activate a bonfire in Dark Souls. I mean, if it was to upgrade a checkpoint, to get more healing, to get something extra from it. But just to have it work? And you will come across a save point. And you will be in need of refreshing your health items. Or just saving your progress. And by that I mean creating a respawn point. And you're just a few ores short. But well, there are no boxes or chests or vases or something else inside, and you need to head forward into the next area, where more strong enemies wait for you, just to get a few more ores, so you can get back and activate your save point. See, that sounds just stupid. But this wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't for the frustrating platforming. And don't get me wrong, there are some fun and enjoyable platforming challenges. And you get some really neat and well implemented abilities. We start with a simple jump and a dash ability that we can use from the ground or in the air. And over the course of the game, we get a spin move, a second dash, a second jump, and the ability to run along and jump off walls. And like I said, these abilities work fine for what they are. The problem lies within the core moveset of our character. He's just too damn quick. He accelerates from 0 to 100 instantly. Just with a slight movement of the thumbstick, he dashes into his demise. And if we were to just run around wide open fields, this would be fine. But we have to jump around tiny platforms. And most of the world is a bottomless pit. A lot of the time, there are more instant death areas than there are safe surfaces to stand on. And add to that most times platforms are spaced far away from each other. And to reach them, you have to use the dash ability in the air, which worked well in games like Mario 64 or A Hat in Time, because there you had a dive jump ability to get just a bit more reach out of your jump. Here you have this dash, which is a blur in the air. Everything other than a full dash is hard to plan and even harder to time, and you will over or undershoot a platform, and it's nearly impossible to correct your trajectory in the air. And to clarify, the movement is absolutely precise. I guess the problem is that it is a bit too responsive and that your character and also the platforms are moving a bit too fast for my liking. Couple that with a pretty bad knockback whenever you're hit and some devilish enemy placement in some platforming challenges, and you'll have a recipe for frustration. It's manageable for the most part in the main plot progression, but in the challenge rooms it gets annoying pretty fast. So we have these statues of past heroes all over the world, and every time we find one of these statues we can enter a challenge room where we have to traverse an obstacle course to get an additional health point. Also during these courses we are able to collect void orbs, which we need for another feature. And since these are optional challenges, it's expected that these are a bit more difficult than the rest of the game. And this would be fine like so many things in this game, if it weren't for one or two flaws. Like everywhere else in this game. First and most important, there are no checkpoints in these challenge rooms. You have to get from the bottom to the top in a single clean run. You can't die during these challenges, so you never lose your ores, but every time you drop to your not death, you get taken back to the beginning of the course. If you lose all your health, you get thrown out of the challenge. I think it would have been better if there were at least a few checkpoints inside the challenge room where you get taken back after missing a jump, and only when you lose all your health will you get taken back to the beginning of the room. Because throwing you out of the course and having you to get back inside just wastes your time. The second thing, and that wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the lack of checkpoints, there are a few trial and error moments within these challenges, and so there's a high chance that you miss a jump right before the exit just because it wasn't clear what you had to do, and then you have to start over. If there was an option to start over from the middle or 2/3 of the way, then this would be way less annoying. It's not too hard, it's more or less a memory game. You will adapt pretty quickly. You will learn how to do these jumps, but sometimes you have to fail first to know what you even have to do, and it sucks that the game sends you back all the way to the beginning. And damn, this sounds pretty bad, and I guess it is, but I'm still having a lot of fun with this game. Yeah, it makes me angry when there's a shit ton of enemies throwing projectiles at me, having the ground explode while I have to carefully maneuver between platforms while there's a bottomless pit below me. And it sucks that the enemies give so little feedback on the combat, and most of the time you'll just resort to a hit and run tactic in combat. But it is fun to explore this world, to discover all these beautiful environments, to find some secrets. Though it is unfortunate that you seem to find new weapons in random chests that are just standing around, while actually hidden chests just contain some ore crystals. It's awesome to slowly advance in and finally master the abilities. We have to traverse this beautiful world with lush forests, icy caverns and dark ruins. We have to discover and solve Zelda-like dungeons and slay huge bosses that are not as creative as Zelda bosses and not as difficult as Dark Souls bosses. They are as clunky as everything else in the game. During our travels we meet a cast of colorful characters who can help us with new weapons or special items, and sometimes they have just a neat outfit or something like that for us. Most of the time we have to bring them one or more items, sometimes we have to pay them. Then there are these emote statues, where we can buy emotes. Emotes let us wave, or dance, or make some stupid pose, and all they're good for is, well, to look goofy. Oh yeah, and there are these slabs we can stand on, which sometimes have a picture on it that mirrors one of our poses. And if we strike the correct pose on one of those slabs, a treasure chest will appear on another slab, which can contain something useful, but most of the time does not. It's still good fun to find those things. There's also a good amount of customization. While new weapons are just stronger versions of our base weapon and armor is only a cosmetic item, there are still some equipable thingies that we can use to personalize our playstyle. All over the world we can find spirits, and we can equip those spirits at save points to gain their abilities. These abilities can help us find more money, let us move faster, give a boost to attack power under the right circumstances, or they let us dash more often, give us a higher spin jump, let us regain health with every enemy we kill. At the start of the game we can only equip 2 spirits, but we can trade the void orbs we find in the challenge rooms at a certain NPC to gain more spirit slots. And with that we can create a truly powerful character. Well, I mean, powerful is relative. So, with all that, what do I think about the game? Can I truly recommend it? That's not an easy question. It's a fun game. It's a flawed game. It doesn't really succeed as a platformer or a Souls-like or a Zelda-like. But it does create a unique experience that mixes all these things together. If you don't mind dying over and over again to bullshit or some clunky mechanics, then you can dive into this beautiful little world. But if you expect a polished experience, maybe look for something else. If you're at least a little bit interested in this game, then maybe wait for a sale, or maybe just keep an eye on it to see if the developers work further on it. I do have my fun with it, and sometimes it enrages me greatly. But for some reason I can't really put the controller down, so I guess if you like what you see and don't mind all the things I ranted about, then give it a try. In any case, have a great day, and I hope to see you again on the next game.